I became a caregiver 27 years ago. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scratching my head saying, how did this happen? 27 years ago, my beautiful wife, Charlene, and I had a fairy tale. Actually, 49 years ago, we've been together that long. We had a fairy tale, storybook, courtship, romance, and marriage. And we entered into the empty nest phase of life. We had raised 3 daughters. We got them all out of the house. That's an accomplishment. We even got them all married off, each one twice. And to not be outdone, the baby 3 times. So I am so happy that I marched her down the aisle for the 3rd time. And this time it's going to stick because this is the first one that I actually approved of. You see, the other 2, kids don't listen to their parents. I don't know why, but they finally learned how to do that. So we were getting into the empty nest phase of life. And, we had freedom. We had financial success. We had time. And my wife complains to me about this headache that she had for like 3 days, the headache of her life. She wanted me to call Dr. Kevorkian, if you remember him from the 70s, and to put her out of her misery. She was joking, of course. But unfortunately, by the 4th day, it was too late. The headache had turned into a stroke, and we rushed to the hospital. And unfortunately, she had lost her speech. She had become paralyzed on one side. And I got to tell you, our life became a living hell for both of us. It turned upside down. I didn't know what I was going to do. Charlene was angry and bitter most of the time, and mostly toward me. And I wasn't prepared for that. I'm a peacemaker. I like peace. And finally, I just realized I can't go on like this. So I did what I do when I feel frustrated like that. I wrote her a letter. I said, Charlene, why are you so mean to me? It's so hard being your husband, taking care of you 24/7, and being your caregiver and not getting any crumbs of appreciation or love in return. I just don't think I can be with you. I know it's hard on you, but you're making it even harder on me to be your caregiver and your husband. I mean, I'll take care of you financially, but I just can't be with you. I took that letter that I wrote and I read it over and over and over again. And I says, how can I give this to my soulmate, to the woman I loved for 49 years, or actually it was 27 years at that time, to the mother of my children? I couldn't do it. So I just filed it away in my filing cabinet, went on in my misery and my loneliness, my aloneness. And I thought that this was how life was going to be. But then something happened. I realized I found this business card in my pocket. I don't know what it was or who gave it to me. It must have been when I was living in the hospital for 6 weeks with my wife. It was inviting me to a caregiver support group. I didn't even know what a caregiver was, let alone a support group. And I figured, well, if somebody gave this to me, maybe I should go. So I went. And that's when everything changed for me. I found out that I had to put my needs first. The airlines tell us, in the event of an emergency, put your oxygen mask on first before, you help your loved one with their mask. And so I had permission now to be what I thought was a selfish act. So I just started taking care of me so I could take care of her. And slowly but surely, very slowly, she started responding. She started realizing that, hey, he's happy. I can't make him miserable. So she started coming around. She started becoming her old self again. And our love was rekindled. And I realized at that time that there are so many other caregivers out there, just like me, who were alone and isolated and depressed and lonely. And I didn't want him to do that. I didn't want him to give up like I almost gave up. My wife and I almost split up. Thank God we didn't. Thank God she came around. And I'm so grateful that nobody told me back then that 27 years later, I'd still be dealing with this. I don't think I could have handled that. I'm on a need to know basis, So it's like Alcoholics Anonymous, one day at a time, sweet Jesus. Don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. That's what the Bible says. Well, I realized I wanted to help these caregivers. So I became Dave, the caregiver's caregiver, caregiver to caregivers. And so I wrote a book. One arm, one leg, 100 words, overcoming unbelievable hardships. And this is my story about us and what we went through. And it was a great book. Sold a lot of copies. And in fact, we offer this book, this ebook now, free to anyone who goes to caregiverdave.com and looks for it. We have free things on there. The book is one of them. We also offer a 30-minute free counseling session because, sometimes 30 minutes of wisdom is all you need to get over a hard spot. So again, go to caregiverdave.com. That's one of the things I did to help other caregivers, like an online community support. It's got the radio show. I started a radio show for caregivers, Caregiver Dave radio show. It then became syndicated in all 50 states and 135 countries. And I've been doing the radio show for over 10 years. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of guests, caregiver experts, caregivers themselves. Excuse me. What else did I do? I wrote 2 more books. I wrote It's My Life Too, How to Thrive and Survive as a Caregiver. I wrote Secrets from the Hammock. It's hard to see these books on here, but Secrets from the Hammock, Uncommon Wisdom for Uncommon Times. So these are the things that I've been doing to try to help caregivers not just survive caregiving, but to thrive. Now, there are other things that I've been doing. I started speaking all across the country on stages, as Sherelle mentioned, the wonderful stages that I've spoken to. I've been to Hawaii, to Washington, D.C., and everywhere in between. I've appeared on 59 TV programs, morning shows, just helping caregivers realize that, they don't have to die, because 30% of caregivers will actually die. 3 out of 10 caregivers are just going to die before their loved one dies. If you're caring for a dementia patient, those odds go way up to 40%, 4 out of 10. And for the lucky ones who don't die, and I put lucky in quotes, they will just become sicker than the ones they care for and eventually need a caregiver of their own. So I don't know, choose your poison. I've got to tell you that I have started a Facebook page, 34,000 followers on my Facebook page, and I hear all their stories. And I'm telling you, they're heartbreaking. I mean, my story might seem heartbreaking to you. I'm this poor guy, he lost his wife. She can't talk, she can't communicate. But today she's doing okay. She still can't talk, and she still can't walk, but she can communicate non-verbally because she has aphasia. She communicates through Pictionary and charades. They just happen to be 2 games that I really hate and I suck at, but I'm learning to love. And then, she still can't walk, but she has this power wheelchair that we bought her that goes faster than me. I mean, I can't keep up with her. And we literally travel the world sharing my story, sharing her story. People just love her. I mean, she's an amazing person. She still does my meals. She's a gourmet cook. I mean, it's hard not to get fat eating her food because she just makes amazing, amazing dishes. I come home, the laundry's done, the food's on the table, and I look around and I say, where are the elves that helped you do all of this? And, I'm always yelling at her, don't, she's got things in her mouth when she's carrying things. She's got things under this arm because this arm doesn't work. She's steering her wheelchair with her wrist. And I says, that's dangerous. Don't do that. Ask me, I'm here. But she's so independent. When I was, this was right after her stroke, and she just came home from the hospital, 6 weeks in the hospital. And we fortunately had her mother come and live with us to help out. And help is really good when this happens in the beginning. But her mother and I were very different. Her mother was, oh, here, honey, let me get that for you. Oh, here, I'll do the cooking. Oh, here, let me do everything. And I'm like, no, like if she's reaching for something on the top shelf, I'll say, come on, you can do it. Go on your toes. Yeah, I'll push you a little bit. It's almost there. And her mother would think I was mean and cruel because her mother's, oh, let me get that for you. But the occupational therapist told us both, no, my method is better because I'm raising someone who is going to be independent, and she would be raising someone who would become bedridden. You have to let your care receiver do what they want to do. She wanted to cook, so I let her cook. She wanted to, travel. So I said, okay, and it turns out that it's easier to travel with her in the airports because I get to put all the luggage on the back of her wheelchair and they take us to the front of the line. When we go to Disneyland, we go to the front of the line. I love traveling with her because it's so much easier. So see there's a silver lining on the clouds. Anyway, I have come up with a acronym, CARE, C-A-R-E, to help caregivers some tips to survive, not just survive, but to thrive. So C, communicate with others. Don't isolate yourself, right? Caregivers are always saying, I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I don't want people to see me in this needy condition. So I'm just going to isolate myself. All of your friends, that you used to do things with, they don't come around anymore because all you do when they call or come by is complain about how hard things are. Well, nobody wants to be around a Debbie Downer. Don't isolate yourself. If you have friends that you used to go to the gym with, continue those relationships and don't talk about your caregiving experience. Save that for your support group. Other caregivers who are going through the same things you're going through. That way you can vent to them, they can vent to you. You can tell them, what a terrible day you had. They'll tell you what a terrible day they had, and you both go home feeling better. But to your friend that you go to the gym with or you go to the movie with, continue doing that. Don't isolate yourself. A, ask for help. Like I told you before, the airlines tell you to do it. If you don't help yourself, you're going to burn out. If you don't put your mask on first, then, that plane's going down and you're both going to be out of commission. So I am the caregiver, and I had trouble asking for help. People would say, hey, do you need anything? And I say, no, I got it. It's okay. And they say, you sure? Oh, yeah. Why did I do that? I don't know. I didn't want to be indebted to anybody. I didn't want them to feel like I couldn't do this. I'm a macho man. I'm an auto mechanic. Something's broken. I can fix it, and I'm going to fix this. I can do it myself. It's like the 2-year-old. No, do it myself. Well, I'm not a 2-year-old, but I was acting like a 2-year-old. So when I went to that support group, which I recommend everybody find a support group. If you can't find a real one, then find a virtual one. And like I said, Caregiver Dave is a great place. There are many other good support groups to get. And they will give you permission to, I know it seems selfish at the time, I did a TED Talk called Caregivers Must Be Selfish in order to Survive. Just Google Dave Nassaney or Caregiver Dave and TEDx and you'll see it, and it's a great talk. And it gives you permission to be selfish. Selfish is a dirty word we were taught, don't be selfish, but that doesn't apply to caregivers. It's okay for a caregiver to be selfish because they are so selfless that, if they just move the pendulum a little toward the selfish, see, it's impossible for them to be really selfish, but they're so selfless. We're hoping that they just balance and be, enough selfish so that they don't kill themselves and not too selfless. So, balance is everything like that. So what do I do? Oh, I've got to continue my acronym. I'm sorry. CAR, rest. Caregivers need 8 hours rest every single night. The average caregiver only gets 2. I don't know about you. I can't survive on 2 hours of rest. I can't survive on 7 hours. I need my full 8 hours. And if I miss it, I got to make it up the next day. Sleep 9 hours, 10 hours, 11 hours. It seems like you're tired all the time if you don't get your full 8 hours. So that means if your care receiver is causing you to not get your sleep, hey, maybe it's time to consider a facility. Now nobody likes to hear that. You made promises to your dad, maybe never put your mother in a nursing home. I promise, Dad. Well, that promise might kill you. So here's what's let's say your loved one needs to be turned over every 2 hours so she doesn't get bed sores, and you're getting up every 2 hours, you can't get back to sleep. It's time for a facility. Find a good one. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Most of them I wouldn't put my cat in, but if you look hard and you ask for referrals, you can find a good one. So here's what you do. You go and you say, I know I promised Dad, or I promised you I'd never put you in a nursing home, but I'm realizing that promise is going to kill me. You don't want me to die, do you? No. You don't want me to get sicker than you? No. Well, here, I'm going to make you a new promise. I promise to give you the best care possible. And so that's how you get out of that one. All right. CARE. Eat healthy, nutritious foods. Don't eat junk food. Junk food's got sugar, chemicals, processed ingredients. All that stuff will kill you. So eat healthy food. Eat salads. Eat your protein. Eat all the food groups. And that's what I say, care. If you can remember that, that will keep you alive and will keep you thriving. Now, there are other things called the grief process, right? And what that is, when anytime we suffer loss, we go through the grief process. So what does that mean? That means, okay, let's say your girlfriend just dumped you. Oh, you have denial. Well, this didn't really happen. Well, yes, it did happen. Excuse me. Then you get angry because it happened. You're angry at yourself. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have gone out with that other girl or whatever. Maybe you're angry at the person who told her that you were going out with it, whatever. And then you get to bargaining. Well, can't we still be friends, And then there's guilt, and then there's depression, there's acceptance. So what do you want to do? Don't stay in denial, because then you'll become, delusional. You don't want that. So you move on to anger. And it's okay to feel anger, but don't let that anger dwell, right? Even Jesus had righteous indignation when he saw, the people in the thing. My Father's house is to be a house of prayer, and he turned over the tables and all that stuff. But don't let your anger be a damaging anger. If it was your fault that it happened, forgive yourself. Forgiveness is a wonderful thing. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. So you don't want to do that. Unforgiveness will never reach the person who you're angry at and you're trying to hurt. It'll only hurt you. It'll rot your bones. It'll give you ulcers. It'll give you cancer. So please forgive and move on. I was blessed with a not great memory. And the good thing about that is that I can't remember people who wronged me. A lot of times people come up, hey, I'm sorry for what I did, 2 months ago. And I says, what do you mean? What'd you do? Because I forgot, that's good. That's a good thing. Bargaining, sometimes if someone dies, that's kind of hard to bargain away, but sometimes we bargain. God, if you just, bring her back, or if she's sick, if you just heal her, I promise to go to church every Sunday, whatever, and if bargaining doesn't work, then we go to guilt. You feel guilty for all the things you did. Well, I already told you, get rid of the guilt. There's two kinds of guilt. There's deserved guilt and undeserved guilt. And if it's deserved guilt, if you deserve it, then apologize, make restitution, turn yourself into the police, do whatever you need to do, and then throw the guilt away. If it's undeserved guilt, like a lot of mothers make you feel guilty, well, you never told, I could be laying on the floor in my own urine, blah, blah, blah. And some people just like to dispense guilt on people. Guilt is like a traffic cop. It says, hey, do I deserve to feel guilty or not? Well, if you don't deserve it, and you can ask somebody, excuse me, you can ask somebody, hey, do I deserve this? And if they confirm, no, you don't deserve that, they're crazy, then just ignore the guilt and throw it away, because that's the way it works. The next stage is depression. Well, if depression gets pretty serious, like clinical depression, ask your doctor for antidepressants. Now, some people don't like it. No, I don't want any drugs. I don't want to feel high. No, they won't make you feel high. It's not like a recreational drug. Antidepressant is something good that will restore the natural chemical balance in your brain. When my wife first had a stroke, because she was never depressed, but all of a sudden, it messed up the things in her brain, and she needed Zoloft to just take the edge off things. And even now, when the prescription gets low or we miss a couple of days, you can just tell she's getting real edgy. The smallest little thing is irritate her. I said, it's time to refill your antidepressant. So please see your doctor. And if you tried it and didn't work, well, then try a different one. And if that didn't work, then try a different dosage. You got to keep trying. This process could take 2, 3, 4, 6 months, but it's worth it to find the right antidepressant for you. And then there's that wonderful and final stage of grief, acceptance. It's where you accept the new normal, where I had to accept that maybe my wife will be like this the rest of her life, and that's okay. We are people of faith. We believe in healing, and we've been believing that she becomes healed, that she gets her speech back and her paralysis back, and we're going to continue believing that. And if it doesn't happen, we're okay with that because God is sovereign. He does what he wants. And all these trials are tailor-made for us. We have become so much better people because of this experience. And we're grateful for that. We're grateful that all things work for good to them that love him and that are called according to his purpose. So acceptance, if you don't reach acceptance, you're going to be stuck in that grief process. And you have to go through the grief process. Can't go around it, over it, under it. You got to go through it. So go ahead and go through these things. It's normal. Now, what else? I have got a caregiver retreat and vacation that is scheduled for June. Go to acapulcodave.com. I have this group called Academy of Caregivers. It's scheduled in Acapulco. And now Acapulco was just destroyed with a Category 5 hurricane, but hopefully it'll be rebuilt by June. So just go to the website, acapulcodave.com, and you'll learn all about my retreat. It's a wonderful, wonderful retreat, vacation, fellowshipping with other caregivers in paradise. I also have my books. Like I says, it's my life too. Thrive and Stay Alive as a caregiver. One arm, one leg, 100 words, overcoming unbelievable hardships. And this one is Secrets from the Hammock. Uncommon wisdom for uncommon times. Go to caregiverdave.com. Get your free stuff. I'm offering free 30-minute coaching session because, like I said, it only takes 30 minutes a lot of times to get over something that you're struggling with, that is keeping you up at night, and so on. What else do I offer? I offer so much stuff. There's videos on there. There's my radio show on there. Every Wednesday, I publish my radio show. It gets put on Facebook and 26 other global platforms all over the country, all over the world. So look up caregiverdave.com or just look up Caregiver Dave, Google it. And I think that's all I've got.